welcome everybody to today's workshop. We welcome Julia to first workshop here. And this workshop is about life, right? Would everybody agree that stress is part of life? Stress is life, right? I mean, there's good stress too. But we always talk about stress as being bad, stress being bad. But can anybody think of any good parts to stress?
No, good stress gets to dangerous situations.
All right, so that's how you respond to stress, right? Well, imagine a life, right, without any
Excitement.
problems whatsoever. There's nothing to push up against. Nothing to push up against. Right? Like who likes going to the beach here?
Everybody.
Not everybody, you'd be surprised. Not everybody goes to the beach.
No, you don't like it?
I love the beach.
It's so
One of my
relaxing.
favorite places.
Ocean.
All right. But, you know, I just sit there and relax, salt water. I could go there 8 o'clock in the morning and stay for 8 o'clock. Right. For a week or two. All right. But after a while, I get pretty bored. And when we have nothing, if we live our life without anything to deal with, without any problems to solve, I think we would get dull. I know I would. I love coming here and dealing with all this stuff. Figuring things out. All that stress. Stress. So it's almost like life is like a video game. We like all the things are coming at you, and you gotta like kind of do it. And otherwise it'd be like an empty screen. Now the thing is if we're able to deal with it. I mean, if it gets to the point where we're overwhelmed, we feel beat up and much, then it's not great. Then life gets hard. Life gets overwhelming. But there's a choice. Have that choice. So I'm going to be talking talking a bit about the nervous system and how it works and what we could do ourselves so we can deal with stress in a healthier way and we grow and learn from it instead of getting beat up. Does that make sense? Because that is how we learn and grow. Learn, you know, anybody here ever been in a relationship with anybody? Pretty stressful a lot of the times, right? You got to deal with another person, right? Which isn't always easy. But when you kind of figure things out, even if it's for a little while, it's kind of nice. So anyway, so the nervous system is broken up into 2 parts. Right? The voluntary system. The voluntary nervous system is everything we could do voluntarily. Scratching my head because I'm voluntary. Then there's an involuntary nervous system, also known as autonomic, which is like automatic. Right? It's not telling your stomach to digest food. It just happens. You're not telling your heart to beat. Right? So now that the autonomic nervous system is broken up into 2. Sympathetic. Does anybody know what sympathetic nervous system is? So the sympathetic nervous system is survival mechanism. Right? And that could lot of layers to it. So, just when you're doing things, you're in the sympathetic nervous system, but also when you get into the stress response. Now, the other parts, so we have the autonomic nervous system spoken of, sympathetic parasympathetic. Parasympathetic is relaxation, rejuvenation. That's where our body's actually able to heal itself and repair itself. That's where love is. That's where creativity comes from. So we have those two things. Now, would you say that it's harder to deal with stress when you're in more stress?
Yes.
Yeah, like the more stressed you are, like when your cup is full, it's going to pour over a lot quicker. Right? So, one of the things that happens, one of the things that causes you to go into that depression, to be in the nervous system, you can read the
Could, could everybody who's not on the call, could you mute your phone or your computer, please? Microphone, thank you.
you could hear somebody chewing.
Well, rustling anyway.
Russell.
Rustling.
So anyway, so
Stressful, yeah, somebody's stressed.
stress in the air.
And they're stress eating, right?
That's right.
Stress eating.
Right. We're gonna talk about that. All right. So one of the things that causes us to go to a stress response is subluxations. So I'm gonna explain that right now. So here, see, these are nerves. Everybody remember the nerves? All right, let's say this nerve goes to the stomach. It'll affect your digestion. But part of this nerve loops back up into the part of the brain, which is called the limbic brain, which is your reptilian brain, which is the sympathetic brain. So when we have subluxations, it's not only affecting a particular organ, it's also affecting the brain and put us more into sympathetic fight. So what's that gonna do to our body?
Tense up.
Tense up, right? Which is gonna cause the subluxations to be more, so we have a whole cycle going, right? Now, what happens, would you say when you're more stressed out, you see the world more as a friendly place or as a hostile place?
Everything's bad.
Everything's sad, right? Right? We see the world not as it is, but how we are. Now the world becomes a hostile place, which is going to affect us how? Yeah, we're going to tighten up more. Right. How's that going to affect our immunity? It's a low priority to be finding a virus if our body thinks a bear is chasing. So we don't have energy to fight viruses and cancer cells. That's what people with stress get sick. Now, so is that going to be an easier way to deal with stress or a harder way to deal with stress? Hard, right? So let's talk about what causes subluxations. Physical stress, emotional stress, and chemical stress. So if we look at the things that cause subluxations, let's look at first and foremost chemical stress. So what are some stressful chemical things?
Coffee.
Sugar, all of the cleaning products and beauty products and like everything they sell in the store.
All right, so no cleaning. That's what I tell my wife, I'm too stressed out, I can't clean.
Like bleach,
Sorry,
all of that's not good for you.
but that's true.
Fragrance and
Right.
like all of our products is not really good for you. Or hormones.
That's true too. So that's the kind of chemical stress. How about stuff that we eat or drink?
Sugar.
Sure.
Yeah, processed foods.
All right, so what would you say a lot of people do when they're stressed out?
Stress eat.
Stress eat, what do they
Well,
usually?
people don't. Some
Comfort.
people
I'm the
don't
opposite. I
shit,
cannot
don't
put a
eat
piece
at
of food in
all.
my mouth. I'm
Right, well,
stressed.
some people eat like, ice cream and just.
Binge eating.
Right.
Comfort.
Comfort food. Right, so then, and then, so subluxations are caused by chemical stress. Right, so we are eating stuff to make us feel better, which actually makes us feel worse, which puts us more in the stress response, and now it's harder to deal with stress. How about alcohol? How many people at the hard day's work when they're all stressed out drink alcohol?
Looks a big.
Glass of wine with dinner never hurt anybody. So I saw a statistic that a glass of wine a day is good for you.
It's good, one
You know what?
glass.
One glass of red wine I
glass
heard is good
is
for you.
very good
That's not true. In fact, there was, I always
Two.
thought that also.
Three?
All right, and actually, there was a big article in the Times, Kathy read it as well,
She's like, damn it.
all about how people who drink, even like 3 drinks a week, which is like me,
Yeah.
it's not even good.
Really?
So
So what happens to the red wine being good for you for cardiac?
It's
I wonder if it's like
Everything.
European wine because it's like
Yes.
actually like
No,
no additives in it or
How about organic wine? I like organic.
something. No, your liver's like, I don't care if it's organic.
Nope.
It's true. For the rest of
I'm
the
not telling you
stars.
not to drink.
No,
I'm
I know.
not telling you not to drink, but I'm telling you,
Don't worry, I'm not.
when, all right, so the but still the alcohol is causing subluxations. And now there's, they're not talking about subluxations in the New York Times, they should be. But what they're talking about is these studies, long-term studies, seeing the difference in health in people over time who drink and don't drink. And people who like really just don't drink too much. But sorry, I drink. I'm just saying, but a weekend like that.
Yeah, I mean, come on, you're down the shore, you're at the beach, you're sitting.
That's what you gotta go to.
For a glass of wine.
No, what's
I'm going out to dinner.
Actually,
Ice cold beer.
I go to this one beach that's dry.
Oh, really?
You're like, you're literally hiding it. It's like a family beach. You're like,
Brings the
sorry,
soul cup, you're a soul
sorry.
cup.
So anyway, so they're doing all these things to make us relax that in the long term are, really. So it's like this short-term gratification. And, with people with addiction, that's what addictions are about, right? And the crazy thing is, let's say smoking, this is like the greatest example.
Yeah.
I smoked for like 10, 15 years, pack and a half a day. I have the most addictive personality.
I do too.
All right. So what happens is when you smoke because you have anxiety. Right? Smoke the cigarette, relaxes you right then and there. But then for a moment, because what it does to
It's
your
a
nervous
stimulant.
system is actually cause more anxiety. And then you want to smoke more. So that's what all these things are doing, is actually causing you to be more stressed. And then you keep on wanting to do it. It's like, relationships could be like that too. Where they make you feel good for a second, but then in the long term, they could be really toxic. And you want to release from that toxicity,
That's what it's about.
but people,
Get it?
that's when you get out. But
But all you remember are the good things, so it's hard to do that.
Yeah.
right, or you remember, how good it felt like when, So it's like, this is how we're wired somehow, but once we start realizing that, like, I'll tell you the truth, when I'm stressed, and I really feel kind of stressed and kind of, that's the time I'll never have a glass of wine. I know that's actually really would cause me long run stress. Kind of put me back. But it's just realizing that really makes a huge difference. Right, so now we have an idea of a couple of things that we shouldn't do. We really talked about chemical stress, and we talked about emotional stress. We talked about toxic relationships. I mean, that's like a big freaking thing. I don't think very few people who've been in relationships with other people haven't been in some kind of toxic. Well, some people have.
It's perfect. So, you know,
Yeah.
for someone to say, oh, no, never, ever, ever, it's not realistic.
So, and I'm thinking, so what's it like? So emotionally, we talk about toxic relationships. It could also be, right? It's something that we kind of deal with that stress by just like working.
And that's like a self-worth issue too.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Some people are just too hard on themselves.
And their
Right.
work becomes like their primary thing of self-worth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so true. So now, how about? So now we have the parasympathetic, which is relaxation, rejuvenation, and repair. Right? Do you think that's a good place to go in your life? To activate that parasympathetic. Yes.
Yeah, of course, yes, yes.
All right.
We thought it was a trick question.
We're all sick.
Could we use more of that in our life? More parasympathetic, especially in this day and age? We're constantly in that survival. So the parasympathetic, how do we activate that?
Going outside.
Meditation.
Breathing, being out in nature.
Exercise? Question mark?
Let's talk about exercise.
Because that, like,
That's
I'm,
perfect. I'm so glad you put, because I always talk about that. Okay. So anybody here ever been addicted to exercise?
I wish.
Right?
I think,
I
but
have.
like not in like a working out way. Like, I was a dancer, like that was my addiction, not necessarily, not lifting weights per se.
Right, but whatever, yeah, but it's the same kind of thing. You know? So like for me, totally, you know, like I said, I'm addicted, I still do have some.
You want to say anything?
So
You're
anyway.
totally buff.
So anyway, so you have the addictive relationship to exercise, all right? So if you do, if you do intense exercise every day, all right, actually it'll cause more cortisol, stress hormone, puts you to sympathetic. Right? Now you think you're doing it, so it's the exact same thing. Because you're doing it to kind of like, because you want to relax. Because you can't
I
relax.
get the anxiety out.
Because you have all that anxiety,
Make me
stuff, and
tired.
that stress response. So
Yeah.
you start doing exercise, and you think, okay, like for me, I'll be planning. That's that the behavior dealing with anxiety, right? It's actually causing more anxiety. People think that they're relaxing, but what they really do is just exhausting themselves. So they get mixed up with that feeling of being tired as being relaxed. Like I know when I have to go visit my mother, right? I know I'm gonna work out like crazy before I get there, you know? So it's that kind of thing, you know? Yeah. What I've learned to do is that I exercise hard. I do hard exercise every other day. And then I do like stretching and yoga. Help with my parasympathetic every other day. Switch those on. Woods every other day. So I'm not doing that hard thing. So that's really important. It really, really is. I once had a patient who couldn't sleep. Like she just couldn't sleep. She couldn't sleep.
Yeah, because of stress.
Right. So her idea then was to do 3-4 hours of exercise every day. Relax yourself, and I didn't understand it. So she was actually recording stuff. So in terms of parasympathetic, it's being able to kind of check in with yourself. Feel the love for yourself. Being present in the moment. Because when you're in the sympathetic, you're always forward. It's always the next thing. So you're not really ever in the present. Now, and actually, I told you before we did that, oh yeah, for some reason, I'm not sure what was going on with me, because I don't really get stressed out that much. I could just feel it. I was kind of buzzing at it. I was feel. I think it had to do with that. I went to buy a car from, basically my wife this morning, and they told me how much it was going to cost. So I was like, why? I was
Bam, right into the
I
sympathetic.
took my money and we got to save. It was like, oh, and all of a sudden, buying them. Oh man,
I need a drink.
I mean, it's,
Yeah, right.
I need to go. I'm gonna run home for But then at one point, like, you can't. There's something called taking refuge in the present. Right. So it's like when you're actually where you are, when it's happening, it's actually, you realize you're in a very safe place. Because all the things that you're stressing out about, they're all up here. It's all your mind just taking you to all these different places. So actually before I walked into it, because I was pretty kind of stressed, before I walked to do this workshop, I just stopped myself for a second, took a deep breath, felt my feet on the floor, I just felt my body. It was amazing. It was like all of a sudden, it's okay, I'm not being chased by a bear. I was feeling like I was being chased by a bear. I was actually saying, okay, I'm not to bring my body back to sympathetic, but that takes practice. So that's why things like meditation are so important. Words of prayer or journal, things where you could just touch in with yourself and be with yourself, and just kind of stop. That's why Sabbath is such, religious people have something, they don't have, if you're not religious, actually a day a week just to freaking stop. So if you could make a Sabbath for yourself every day, just to get off that treadmill, it can make an amazing difference in your life. Very ritual you might have. So find a ritual, find something that you touch in with yourself. And that I have this other workshop called Morning Rituals for Stress, and that's what it's all about. If you can start your day with that, it really helps you carry through the day. Be more present, more loving, more sympathetic, more present, more loving, more caring, not just doing it. Right? 7 o'clock. All right. So anyway, listen, I hope, I don't think I taught anybody anything new here. I think everybody knows all this stuff. Maybe not
The one.
not the sympathetic.
No, the one statistic really threw me. I can't say that anymore.
Yeah, I always thought so too, until it was about 2-3 weeks ago.
I mean, I didn't really believe this exists, like, when I heard it, but I was like, ooh, okay, fine, I'll take that.
And joint with that would be great too, right? Why not? But that, all that stuff is wearing you down.
Even those things too. That, sitting on that is, I always am like, okay, I'm gonna go sit on my phone and relax, and then I'm like, that I don't feel relaxed. I just took in so much information, and it's like sitting in my subconscious.
Like, maybe we
You know
can
what I
have a
mean?
whole workshop on that, because I'm
Oh.
the same.
It's
You know,
awful.
it's such an addictive thing. Like I find myself grabbing it all the freaking
Mm-hmm.
time. For some reason, I think I'm gonna find something
It's gonna change my life.
in there that's gonna make me happy.
Don't sleep with
All of
your
a sudden.
phone right next to your bed either. It's
Yeah,
way
yeah.
too easy to pick up in the middle of the night.
For you.
And the first thing in the morning when you grab your phone, like you have that like 10 minutes of like your brain is still in its like subconscious state, and like that's when you want to do the meditation because you're like actually receiving it.
Instead of grabbing your phone.
Yeah, and you're like, hey, TikTok, and it's like actual bullshit going into it. And none of it is good. Like, nothing is good. And you're like, and I'm like crying at 7 o'clock in the morning at this like sappy video, and I'm like, this is like so psychotic. Like, what's going on?
And you meditate first in the morning, you said, I remember.
What's that?
You meditate in the morning.
Yeah.
I did that this morning, and it made, I had like a weird day yesterday, and I made sure I meditated this morning, and it made like actually like black and white difference.
It's
I was like, I need to get back into this.
It's actually
You can do
unbelievable.
5 minutes, and it'll work.
Like how different, I do 10 minutes, I have this app that I can't believe what a difference it makes in my day.
Yeah, well, it helps you like, because there's so much like thoughts that happen up here, and like it allows you to have like gaps in your thoughts. It's like, I heard that once and I was like, there you go, I like that.
Yeah, it's like having that gap. It makes such a huge difference. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank
you, everyone.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed
Thank
this.
you.
Thanks, guys.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you all for coming. It made it a lot of fun.
Yeah. Next week will be like 2 hours hanging out, talking about everything.